Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So I saw this from Benedict XRP. Ripple ODL customer expects the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or the CEPA, between India and the UAE, predicting a major boost to fintech companies in the region. UAE make a $1 billion deal to move India to XRP? Question mark? Well, here's what's going on. This is just a screen grab from this article. The Comprehensive Economic Partnership inked between India and the UAE last week is a milestone and will be a game changer in bilateral trade, a leading remittance and forex company officially said, predicting a boost to fintech companies and startup unicorns in the region. India and the UAE on Friday last signed the CEPA trade pact after concluding negotiations in a short time frame of about 88 days. The pact aims to take the two-way commerce to the USD $1 billion mark in over 5 years, so spending 100 billion over 5 years to create about 10 lakh jobs in sectors such as apparel, plastics, leather, and pharma. Adiba Hamed, managing director of Abu Dhabi-based Lulu Financial Holdings, which is a Ripple partner, said at the time, when inclusive trade and economic cooperation are cornerstones of a robust economy, the CEPA signifies the commitment of the UAE and India to strive for greater growth through economic cooperation. Here's a quote: "The UAE and India have historically shared a close bond in several areas of trade and commerce, and CEPA will encourage the investor community, both regionally and globally, to also look into emerging sectors in both countries, notable of which one of those is fintech." So, of course, Ripple partner Lulu Financial Holdings does see the benefit to this and the migration, right? If they can get a bilateral partnership between India and the United Arab Emirates, there would be a lot of money flowing because of that partnership. And of course, right, the cross-border transactions of those two specific currencies, that would also need to be streamlined. So they are signing this agreement. And guys, this is just one of, I'm sure, many partnerships that we will see follow once this new financial framework is put in place. And so just down here, XRP-powered platform is expected to enhance the speed and scale of cross-border transactions between the two countries. This is just another article discussing Lulu Financial Group specifically and their relationship the UAE has specifically with Pakistan. And then just down here, Binance Singapore CEO is on the board of Lulu Exchange as well. So the initiative by Bank Alafa, which is also a Ripple partner, will serve as a pilot for the group rollout, as Lulu Exchange has plans to bring forth similar partnerships involving RippleNet for cross-border payments in Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, Singapore, and Malaysia. So we're seeing a lot of these Ripple partners like Bank Alafa, Lulu Exchange, not to mention others, merge with each other, partner with one another to create that synergy. They definitely see a problem that needs to be fixed, and so why not leverage RippleNet to make that happen? That is exactly what they're doing. Wanted to thank Benedict for posting that. I also saw this, guys, from Michael at Val5Links, and this is more Algorand news. The Algorand blockchain is now on the AWS marketplace. Guardrail announced today that the Algorand blockchain would be available on the AWS marketplace. This serves as a huge benefit to those who have minimal experience in cloud and blockchain technology. The announcement was made through a blog post on the official website of the Algorand Foundation. They also mentioned that they're going to support customers on their mainnet nodes version as well. And so it just gives a little bit of background with regards to Guardrail. They've been helping small to medium-sized enterprises since 2003, and the Algorand blockchain is just another addition to the list. Its co-founders have so far helped about 50 startups in their early stages, so they are clearly seeing the benefit to leverage the Algorand blockchain to continue this initiative. Guardrail broke the news to its customers about the availability of Algorand on the AWS marketplace. The value of Algo currently stands, though, at about 77 cents, at least as per the publishing of this article, and is now estimated, though, to reach $2.35 by the end of 2022. So that is their projection specifically for the Algorand token. I mean, just taking a look at the crypto market right now, at least as of the time of this recording, XRP still holding at about 70 cents. What's the Algo token doing at this moment in time? You can see Algorand down here at about 80 cents. So, the entire crypto market essentially just beating to the drum of Bitcoin still. We haven't really seen anything break away from the speculative reality that is the crypto market at this moment in time. Everything is essentially going by the beat of Bitcoin. All these charts are essentially looking the same. Bitcoin retracing 37,600 right now. Haven't seen too much movement, although I did talk about it in this morning's video. We did see a little bit of a retracement to the upside, so maybe Bitcoin has found its support. Anyway, regardless of the spec status of the market, it is interesting that we are seeing new use cases, and ultimately, this is what's going to give these cryptocurrencies value in the future. Algorand, another one of those World Economic Forum tokens. Just to remind you guys, wanted to thank Michael for posting that. And another one from Michael here. This has to do with California lawmakers and how they're introducing legislation to accept crypto as payment for government services. So if you guys live in California, This is what you have to look forward to. Politicians seeking to represent California at the state or federal level have made proposals seemingly favorable to crypto adoption. Now, I've been noticing a lot of states in the US making similar moves. I know we've heard of Wyoming. I believe Arizona was one. Florida, definitely a state that's big into cryptocurrency adoption and using cryptocurrency as a currency to pay for certain things like utility bills or taxes or whatever. And now we're seeing California, okay, one of the richest states in the US, do the same. So they have now introduced a bill that would amend the state's code to allow for the acceptance of cryptocurrencies for certain payments. According to Senate Bill 1275, introduced in the California legislature on February 18th, the state senator proposed authorizing a state agency to accept cryptocurrency as a method of payment for the provisions of government services. So, this is interesting because I feel like these guys realize the writing is on the wall. I feel like at the state level, these senators, these governors, they cannot be blind to what is going on. I feel like they feel like if the dollar does crash significantly, that citizens of the United States, whether they live in their state or not, are going to flee the US dollar, convert their currency into cryptocurrency, and ultimately the theory goes as such. If that happens, Bitcoin will likely go through the roof. It would certainly break this current all-time high that we're seeing right now. We would definitely see volume down here accelerate to levels that are very, very much higher than what they are today, probably even higher than where we've seen them at the peaks of former bull runs. And so this is how I feel it's going to go. They are already putting these laws in place, or they're proposing these bills to be able to accept cryptocurrency, because at the end of the day, people are still going to have to pay their taxes, right? Their bills, everything. And if they have no cash in the bank and all they have is cryptocurrency, well, might as well allow them to pay in that form of currency. So that's interesting. Also consider this, just along the same lines. This from BondCrypt XRP. XRP community, are you ready? C banks are now insolvent. The problem with rising interest rates and bond yields on a mark-to-market basis makes the major CBs, the central banks, insolvent, with balance sheet liabilities now greater than their assets. So the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, Federal Reserve, the entire European banking system as well. And so just to that point here, released recently from Zero Hedge, behind the battle to convince everyone that price inflation is not a lasting problem is the necessity to keep interest rates and bond yields suppressed. So guys, this is what is happening in the banking system. In the past, the interest rate cycle was entirely due to the expansion and contraction of commercial bank credit. But that was before central banks built up bond portfolios through quantitative easing. Not only does this expose them to interest rate cycles, but they have not increased their capital base to keep pace with the expansion of their balance sheets. Hence, the problem with rising interest rates and bond yields on a mark-to-market basis, and major central banks are insolvent, with balance sheet liabilities now exceeding their assets. So this article finds this condition true, and they give some explanations here. They show some graphs down here, but they're naming out the banks: the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, the Bank of Japan, and the entire Euro system. Other central banks are not examined. So those are the ones that they examine. Doubtless this will be resolved in the short term by governments investing more equity into their central banks. So you got to understand, the system is only good until it isn't. And they are in control, guys. They can do whatever they need for as long as they need to in order to prop up the system until they have a reason for it to collapse. And so if you believe in the Great Reset theory, you do realize that the entire Great Reset is essentially the solution, at least the World Economic Forum solution, to fix the banking system, to usher in a new system, which would in part involve Ripple and XRP, which is why we're all here. And I think it's good to understand this. I mean, if you hold XRP already, I'm sure you know a lot about this, but developments are happening, it seems like, at lightning speed. And so, this whole thing with the beer flu pandemic and central banks printing money, this is all part and parcel to how they're going to implement this, why they're going to implement this, and how they're going to try to avoid citizens of the world getting pissed off. That's another part of it, right? The sociological, the psychological part of it. How are they going to take all our wealth, transfer it to the powers that be without us getting upset about it? And, if you believe in these theories, you can already see the writings on the wall, so you're already kind of preparing yourself. But what about the normies? What is going to happen to everybody else? So just going to continue here. Doubtless this will be resolved in the short term by governments investing more equity into their central banks, but there is one major exception, which is the ECB and the Euro system, with all its shareholders sinking into negative equity, with the only minor exception of the Irish, Maltese, and Slovenian central banks. Consequently, with the interconnectedness of the global financial system, the ability of central banks to guarantee the survival of their own commercial banking networks has almost certainly ended due to a collapse of the Euro system. The precedent is the failure of a prototype central bank in 1720, John Law's Banque Royale. That experience allows us to see how this is likely to play out. And so I'm not going to go into this entire article. It is a fascinating article. I will link it in the description. Of course, as I mentioned, they do give good examples here, talking about, the Bank of England, for example, the Fed's position on this as well, the Bank of Japan down here, and of course, the ECB, European Central Bank, and the Euro system. But just down here, I'm going to go, no, it wasn't down here. Where was it? Anyway, okay, I'm going to continue. It could be in the next article. So BondCrypt XRP also mentioning this, the European Central Bank is trapped like the Fed. So this is a completely separate article with regards to the same themes that we're seeing in this Zero Hedge article. European Central Bank is trapped like the Fed, and like the Fed, the European Central Bank does not have much room to raise interest rates without causing major complications in the financial market and the economy. And so this from Mieswire, the Eurozone's annual price inflation rate hits 5% in December of 2021. And as of this writing, the consensus is for 5.1% in January of 2022. Eurozone industrial power prices were up 26.2% in 2021 as a whole. This has been putting pressure on the ECB to adopt a tight monetary policy, or at least less loose one. On February 3rd, the ECB announced its monetary policy decisions regarding the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program and the Asset Purchase Program. Its asset purchase programs and interest rates with no major changes compared to the previous announcement in December. So this also just kind of going into some of the details with regards to what is going on here. And so we know too much debt, not enough money essentially to pay it back. And interest rates, they're playing with them in order to keep this intact as long as possible. But guys, it's not going to be easy. Therefore, it is the ECB that has kept the interest rates on these bonds artificially low. Thus, the ECB does not have much room to raise interest rates and decrease or cease its monthly asset purchases. Countries like Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece, which have higher debt and more prolific governments, are very dependent on this monetary policy. So this is part of the problem. Some countries have to depend on this in order to survive. And I'm feeling like more and more of the world is in this situation. And there are no incentives for these governments to reduce their spending and their borrowing enough for the interest rates on their bonds to fall without ECB intervention. Best case scenario, the governments reduce their debt very gradually, as Portugal did from 2016 to 2019, and in 2021 after a significant increase in 2022. So again, just another article. I will link it in the description, just describing what is happening here with regards to the Eurozone in particular. I think this is where their focus is on, more or less. But the overall picture, guys, these central banks are in trouble, and it's not even hidden anymore. I think it's quite apparent that this system is collapsing and governments are trying to hold the line. As I mentioned in this morning's video, if you guys didn't catch that, I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner. I talked about the Canadian government and how Parliament just yesterday voted to approve the Emergencies Act. This would essentially give the Canadian government full control over their citizens' bank accounts and essentially everything else in their lives. The big thing though, the big focus, the bank accounts. If this system collapses, governments might have to seize assets. And so, this is why the government of Canada did put out a stern warning to Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong and Kraken CEO Jesse Powell. I talked about it in this morning's video, so if you guys didn't catch that, I suggest you watch it. Meanwhile, we also have this, guys, from the wonderful Jordan Peterson. Get your money out of the Canadian banking system now. It's a quick clip. Listen to what he has to say.
This morning, I don't know what to make of all of this because it's happening so quickly. I can't believe the state to which the country has degenerated. I've been in contact with a reliable source within the Canadian military, and he told me today by email that if I had any sense, I'd take my money out of the Canadian banks because the situation is far worse than I've been informed. And so that's just one of many such messages I receive on a daily basis. So let's talk about the banks. So here's what our Prime Minister did last week. He permanently destroyed 20% of the population's faith in the entire Canadian banking system. and stained the Canadian banking system's international reputation, I would say, for decades.
So you hear that, Canadians? Be careful where you keep your money. And if you are planning on putting it into cryptocurrency, make sure it is in a cold storage wallet like a Ledger Nano S or X or something similar. It doesn't have to be one of these, but it does have to have the capability so that you can have your own private keys, that 24-word seed phrase. I do have an affiliate link for the Ledger Nano products. Again, you can use my affiliate link. It's there for ease of use, but guys, I don't even care if you use my affiliate link or not. I just want you guys to be safe. I want your cryptocurrency to be away in safekeeping, away from prying governments. You know, it used to be that 3 years ago when I started this channel, I was saying, you know, keep your cryptocurrency safe just in case there is a hack on the exchange that you use. And I never thought it would get to this. I really never thought that I would be showing clips of Jordan Peterson telling the Canadian public to be worried where they are keeping their money. The thing we got to remember though, and I just did a video on this the other day, Chris Larson talking about Ripple and XRP back in 2014, back before any of this, seemingly, at least publicly, was even an issue. And if you guys didn't catch that video, I will link that one up here in the top right-hand corner. Well, here's a clip of Chris Larson from back in 2018. Listen very, very carefully what he says. Again, another clip, Chris Larson being interviewed by Forbes magazine in 2018, very confident that the XRP cryptocurrency is going to be central to a new financial system.
There was just a matter of time before the world was going to have some form of a digital currency that had no government behind it or no counterparty. But I think that kind of evolved into this excitement around, hey, it's not just about the currency, but fundamentally it's about wiring an internet for money. This is almost like 1994, the first days of the data internet. But I think what that means for the world is it's the commoditization of reach. Suddenly, every single entrepreneur, every bank, every currency in the world has unlimited reach. And right now, that's not the way it is. And that's just exactly what happened to data. Now is happening for money. And that's really fun and exciting. And I think we'll have kind of the stakes are even larger when it comes to money and value. This is going to be a profound change on the way the world works, and I think brings the world closer together. I mean, through all this backlash and globalization, we all know that we have no hope unless we are kind of working together. And I think this is really going to clear a lot of the friction that's kind of getting in the way of the promise that globalization was supposed to bring.
We all know that, you know, Ripple and XRP are going to be the coins that change the world. That's how I'm reading into this clip. I think Chris Larson knew this even before 2018. There's evidence suggesting that this has been in the works for a long time. You know, if you guys didn't catch that other video, Chris Larson seems very confident, even back as far as 2014. And guys, in 2022, has it all come to a head? Are we witnessing the change before our eyes? Western countries like Canada slowly turning communist, government having access to bank accounts, cryptocurrency CEOs being warned because of tweets that they put out by the Canadian government. I mean, Jordan Peterson, a very smart man, has it on good authority at the military level that he himself, I mean, he's a Canadian citizen, but I believe he does live in the US or has a residence in both countries. He himself has been warned by a reputable military source that he should take his money and run. So is the writing on the wall, guys? Is the new financial system on our doorstep? Tell me down in the comments what you guys think, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, I want to try to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. Let's see if we can make that happen. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.